Because the rumor was John Jones was going to fight Tom Aspinall in July at International Fight Week, the big blowout that will sell him boatload of pay-per-view as the deal starts to get to the end of the year.
Yeah.
John Jones just said 3 minutes ago that the window for fighting in July against Tom Aspinall may be passing because he feels he needs 6 months to.
John Jones wants 6 months. He wants 6 months to prepare for Aspinall. He wants 6 months. He can have them. How would I control it? How would anybody control it? John has the undisputed belt and that Tom has the interim belt. We all understand that these guys are going to fight. Now that we have that evidence, we have had November to December, December to January, January to February, February to March. We've got 4 months. If John needs 6 months to train for Aspinall, how much does he still need? Did he take a couple weeks off? Did he take a whole month off? For heaven's sakes, did he take the whole time off? It's been 4.5 months since that fight. Did he not train? Train with Aspinall in mind? Did he not full well know the undisputed champion was going to take on the interim champion? What do you mean he needs 6 months? 6 months starting when?
John Jones hasn't come out and flatly denied it, even though he did say that Tom kind of annoys him and he bothers him and he's a little bit immature, right? This fight needs to happen. And if he's saying that he wants 6 months, then I don't quite get it. I don't quite understand. Why do you need 6 months?
Looks like John Jones might be buying himself a little more time before stepping into the octagon with Tom Aspinall. And not just a few weeks, we're talking 6 whole months. According to Daniel Cormier, that blockbuster fight everyone was hoping for during UFC's International Fight Week in July might not happen after all. Apparently John feels like the timeline is just too tight. So now, instead of jumping into fight camp, he's floating the idea of pushing the bout further down the calendar.
You know what this is? This is exactly what we just talked about.
What?
A leverage. This is leverage. John Jones is saying, I know I'm the biggest star in the UFC right now. I know this is the biggest fight. And right, sometimes the biggest fight is not the biggest star, but in this case, it's probably the same one.
It's the biggest fight. Yep.
The fight that we want to see the most. The only one that would be second to this would be Topuria Makhachev. That's the only other one that is right in the same level, in my opinion. And so John Jones is saying, well, I want 6 months. But if you're gonna
who do you think's pound for pound #1 in the world right now? I know Dana's been going at it with reporters. He thinks it's John Jones. What do you think?
As long as this guy is active, the pound for pound best in the world, and he's the greatest of all time.
Skill-wise, you can't take nothing from Jones, right? If you look at his fight with Cyril Gane, amazing, but I didn't consider Cyril Gane like a top pound-for-pound guy. But on the skill set, could he beat all these guys? Yeah, of course.
Here's the thing. When it comes to star power in the UFC, John Jones is still that guy. Whether you love him, hate him, or love to hate him, he brings eyes, headlines, and pay-per-view buys every single time he fights. He's not just another name on the roster. He's the name. Even after all the controversies, suspensions, and setbacks, his presence still feels larger than life. When John Jones is on a card, it doesn't matter who else is fighting. That's the fight everyone's watching. And he knows that, which is exactly why he's playing this situation with Tom Aspinall like a seasoned poker player holding pocket aces. He's saying, I'll fight, but on my time and for my price. He's fully aware that this matchup is huge. Heavyweight gold, legacy on the line, fans dying to see what happens when the veteran king clashes with the explosive young lion. The UFC needs this fight to happen, but John's making it clear, if they want him in early, they better sweeten the pot.
Is he doing Proria or Aspinall?
Aspinall.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Aspinall. I think they're trying to come to some sort of an agreement. The rumor is that he wants $30 million, and that the UFC is going to pay it. Hopefully, I hope they pay it.
He's annoying to me. He's annoying to me, and that's my own personal. He annoys me. I get to you guys, you find it entertaining, but I find him annoying, and I just don't like him. And at the end of the day, if I give him the opportunity to fight me, I want to be so compensated. I want to say it, I want that you money, honestly. And that's just what it is. That's just what it is. Or else my life is perfect without him. I don't need him at all, and he needs me. And that's a good place to be in a negotiation. I've been really clear about my intentions. I'll retire the heavyweight belt if I have to. So Tom can have the heavyweight championship. I don't really care about it. It'd just be worth my while fighting against Pereira. People can call me a duck and a chicken. I'm going to go home and cash a massive check. Man, if that was my last fight ever, then I'm cool with that. That was the way to do it. I think one of the really good things about negotiating is being willing to walk away from a deal.
You saying you
And that brings us to the number floating around, $30 million. Yep, that's how much John Jones is reportedly asking for. And honestly, it makes sense. When you know your worth, you don't settle. And John knows he's not just another fighter trying to climb the ranks. He's done that already. He's the main event, the marketing machine, the name that moves numbers. Now, some people might hear $30 million and say he's out of his mind, but in John's world, that price tag represents more than just a paycheck. It's about status. It's about power. It's him saying that I've been here and I've done the work. I've headlined more cards than most fighters even dream of. And look, this isn't just about John. This is where the fight game is heading. Fighters today are thinking way beyond belts and rankings. They want to make serious money, and who can blame them? One injury, one bad night, and everything changes. So if you're gonna bleed in the cage, you might as well stack some zeros in the bank. We've seen it with Conor McGregor, who turned his UFC stardom into global superstardom, and now we're seeing more and more fighters taking control of their careers. They're not just training to fight, they're learning the business, negotiating smarter, and pushing for the paydays they believe they deserve. It's no longer just Dana White calling the shots. The fighters are starting to find their voice, and they're using it.
Everyone wants to fight me. Connor calls it red panty night.
We're rich, baby. Conor McGregor made us rich. Break out the red panties.
Tom's head is in the right place. He should want to fight the top guys in the world. I believe that he has time to fight the top guys in the world. As far as fighting me right now, you don't make it this far in a UFC career looking past your opponents. I'm aware of Tom and the work that he's put in, or lack thereof. I think he could have a tremendous future in the UFC, but when you've been around this long, you realize that people are here today and gone tomorrow. Maybe eventually, if he can earn some things in the UFC. The only champion he's ever fought against are
two names that have been mentioned this week. Obviously, Alex Pereira was a fight that you really wanted. What is it about that fight that you like so much, if that is to be the next one?
At this point in the game, it just does more for my legacy. I really don't like Tom. I find him annoying. He's a great athlete. I'll admit, I think he's a bigger threat than Alex Pereira. If I go into a barbershop and ask, do you know Tom Aspinall? No one knows who he is outside of UFC fans. Alex Pereira, on the other hand, his accolades are incredible.
And I think...
Y'all heard him. Give me a little glaze.
John's made it pretty clear. He's not in a rush. Some people might call it stalling. Others might say he's just buying time. But really, this is just classic John Jones. He's doing what he always does, taking control of the moment and moving at his own pace. Right now, he's not treating this like a fight he has to take. When he talks about Tom Aspinall, it doesn't sound like he's all that impressed. He's not scared. He's just not sold on Tom being a big enough deal, at least not yet. He's been in the UFC long enough to know that hype doesn't always last. And from his point of view, Tom still has more to prove before he gets a shot at him. John's not some new guy looking to make a name. He's already done that. Now it's all about smart moves, big paydays, and protecting his legacy. So when people wonder why he's not jumping at the fight, it's simple. He doesn't feel like he needs to. He's not chasing anything. He's calling the shots. And unless everything lines up, money, timing, and what he wants, it's not happening. That's just where John Jones is at right now. But while John is playing chess, there's another perspective floating around, and it's coming straight from Tom Aspinall's corner. And let's just say, it's a very different view of what's really going on.
Is John Jones scared to fight you?
Yes. John is conning the public. The fact that he didn't want to fight Ngannou for 3 years and now he's not wanting to fight me for over a year.
Is that fight fucking happening?
The UFC are saying that it's going to happen. I think it's down to him and Dana.
Dana loves John Jones.
He's trying to grease up his ego a little bit. I think he's one of the best fighters ever. Definitely top 3. That's debatable when you start putting in about drug tests and stuff like that, I think.
Damn. What drug are you talking about specifically?
Yeah.
Do you think John is ducking you?
Yes.
Was that
I
Tom?
do. I think I said, yeah, he is. He definitely is. I think that there's just an easier path for him, and I understand it. I do understand it completely. I understand that there's bigger fights out there for him with way less risk and way more money. I understand it. But in all honesty, do I think he's ducking me? Absolutely.
I will leave you with this. At the weigh-ins for the Dirty Boxing event this past Friday, the one in Miami, John Jones now, it has been announced as a part owner. There was a bit of a chant in attendance. You know we love the Tommy Aspinall chant. Here's John reacting to a chant at the weigh-ins.
Because from Aspinall's side of things, this whole 6-month delay isn't about strategic planning or timing the perfect comeback. Nah, in his eyes, this smells a lot like fear. He straight up thinks Jon Jones is scared to fight him. It's not as wild as it sounds. Let's look at the facts. Jon Jones spent 3 years on the sidelines while a super fight with Francis Ngannou slipped away. Some say by choice. And now, when it's time to defend the heavyweight title against the current interim champ, someone who's younger, faster, and arguably more well-rounded, suddenly Jon needs half a year to get ready. That's not just suspicious. That's starting to look like a pattern. To Aspinall, this delay feels like deja vu. First Ngannou, now him. Two heavy hitters in their prime, and Jones finding reasons to not sign on the dotted line. And it's not just about needing time. Tom feels like Jon's been ducking fights with real danger for a while now. Guys who hit hard, move quick, and don't get rattled by big names.
Jon Jones, you don't know where you stand. Dana said it's the biggest fight in UFC history now, so...
Yeah, I've had enough talking about it, mate. I'm honestly bored of it. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll just see. I'm ready to fight whenever they tell me, so just let me know. I'll be there.
Everyone thinks you're a bit of like a quintessential good guy. Could we see a heel turn at some point in the MMA world?
We might do. Who knows? Who knows?
Jon Jones don't need Tom Aspinall, but he ain't gonna knock this dude out. You know that the first time I fought Jon Jones, I was 36 years old, 38 the second time. He's now what, 37, 38 years old? This kid's young. He's the older guy. He's been through the wars. The Gustafsson fight. Him and I just bashed the shit out of each other for 8 rounds. Reyes fight. Thiago Santos. I think that this kid is as dangerous for him as anyone he's ever been in there with, partly because that's not his weight class.
Meanwhile, Tom's out here calling it what it is, fear, or at least that's what he thinks. In his mind, Jon's trying to con the public, make it look like he's just buying time to plan a comeback, but really, he's stalling, avoiding a fight he's not fully confident in. And now that Jones says he needs 6 more months, that only adds fuel to Tom's fire, because if you're the baddest man on the planet, why wait half a year unless you're unsure about what's waiting for you? And what's waiting is no joke. Tom Aspinall isn't just some loud challenger trying to build clout off Jon's name. He's a real threat, fast hands, slick movement, and ice-cold composure. The guy ran through Sergey Pavlovich like it was light work, and that was supposed to be a war. So when he sees Jon needing more time, it doesn't read like preparation, it reads like hesitation. That's why this whole Jon is scared talk is gaining traction, because Tom's not just winning fights, he's storming through the division. And when someone's that explosive, that dangerous, and that ready right now, the usual legacy talk starts to sound like a shield. Suddenly, the question isn't about Jon's past dominance, it's about whether he's still got it today, against a guy who's peaking and pulling no punches. But while Tom Aspinall sees Jon's delay as fear, many experts have a very different take.
The Jon Jones that you saw will not be the Jon Jones that fights Tom Aspinall. Teddy Atlas. I had this conversation with Teddy, and I said, Coach, he's not missing. He's spinning around backwards where he can't even see the opponent. I don't think he missed a shot against Stipe. When I spoke to Tom said was watching slow motion. He said, I got all the respect for Stipe, but he was simply too slow, and Jon was too slow. Not one of those spins, not one of those things would have I ever been there, and that is a real reality with youth. Generally, you will give that back for size. Like if Tom Aspinall turns out to be the faster of the two, oh, by the way, and he's that big, that'd be something special to see.
People who've followed the sport closely for years continue to speak highly of Jon Jones, not as someone avoiding a challenge, but as someone still operating on a high level. Analysts like Chael Sonnen and Teddy Atlas have pointed out that even in Jon's recent fights, his precision and timing are still sharp. Despite what some say about him being slower, others believe his technique is just as crisp as ever. He may not move like a young contender anymore, but what he brings in experience and fight IQ still puts him at the top. Even when reviewing his fight footage, some experts say Jon didn't miss many of his shots. He was calculated, composed, and effective. And if he looked slower at moments, it wasn't because he's lost a step. It's because he was in control, picking his moments. That's the kind of approach that comes from years of being in the spotlight and knowing exactly how to win big fights. So while some are questioning his hunger or suggesting he's stalling, others are simply calling it strategy from a fighter who knows how to stay ahead, both in and out of the octagon.
And then with Jon, it's blessed and his mind. It's not just, it's his personality, his like ruthless competitiveness. It's like he's not going to fucking lose. He's going to find a way to get you. And he's going to do it clever. He's not trying to take a bunch of punishment and to stand and bang. He's not going to point the center of the octagon. Let's go right here. We'll stand right here. Never going to happen with John Jones. You're not getting none of that, son. You're getting knees to the gut. You're getting your knees kicked. You're getting fucking just laced up with elbows where your fucking head's bleeding. He's going to slowly dismantle you and find a way to submit you or punish you, beat you to death on the ground. But can he do that with a guy like Aspinall, who's a legit 255-pound natural who moves like he's 80 pounds lighter? He's a freak, man.
Yeah.
Aspinall's a freak.
And if you listen to voices like Joe Rogan, the message is pretty clear. John Jones isn't just talented, he's wired differently. What sets John apart isn't just skill or size, it's his mindset. He's not the kind of fighter who walks into a war just to prove a point. He's methodical, tactical, and above all, ruthless in the way he breaks his opponents down. This is a guy who doesn't care about putting on a show in the center of the cage. He's not out there trading punches for the crowd's approval. Instead, he looks for angles, exploits openings, and slowly takes away every weapon his opponent has. Whether it's chopping at the legs, driving knees into the body, or slicing through with elbows, John knows how to make a fight miserable without taking damage himself. What Rogan and others highlight is John's ability to find a way to win, no matter who's in front of him. He doesn't chase knockouts. He breaks fighters apart piece by piece until there's nothing left, and that's what's kept him on top for so long. He doesn't just fight, he calculates, adjusts, and dominates. But even with all of that, one question still lingers. Can he do that to someone like Tom Aspinall, a guy who's not only huge, but fast, sharp, and unpredictable? That's the part even the experts are starting to seriously think about.
But Aspinall, so far, the way he dispatched off
The Russian guy,
oh
yeah.
my God. And he's fast, but he's the same height as me, if not an inch taller, but thick.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're a lot thicker than I would expect.
Yeah.
And the speed, that's the thing that I'm like, okay, that's the danger. But again, grappling, he's a black belt, but John is...
It's different.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. They got to fight. But if they don't ever fight, we'll never know. Because we had that with John and Silva. We had that with Silva and GSP. So all these fights we will never see.
Israel Adesanya definitely has a lot of respect for Tom Aspinall, especially when it comes to his speed. For someone his size, that quickness is something else. Adesanya points out that despite Aspinall being around the same height as him, he's built a lot thicker, which makes the speed even more impressive. It's not something you often see from a heavyweight, and Adesanya recognizes that as a real danger. But it's not just the speed that stands out, it's also his movement. Aspinall can move like he's much lighter, and that could be a game changer against someone like John Jones.
Here's a question with Aspinall. What happens with Aspinall in the second round? All of his fights, like all together, he's fought like 10 minutes. Aspinall's one of the fastest heavyweights. He might be the fastest heavyweight in the history of the sport. Look how fast he moves in. That guy's so fast. He moves like a 175-pounder. Incredible stand-up, knocks guys out with one punch, black belt in jiu-jitsu.
So what's your prediction if it happens? Tom's not just some fast-moving heavyweight with knockout power. He's a legit black belt in jiu-jitsu. That alone sets him apart from a lot of the guys in his division. He's got the kind of ground game that can turn things around in a split second. Add that to his crazy speed and timing, and you've got a heavyweight who's not just dangerous on the feet, but just as slick on the mat. That kind of well-roundedness, it's rare. And it's exactly why people are taking him seriously. The big question is, will we ever actually see John Jones and Tom Aspinall throw down? Adesanya brings up a good point. Some of the biggest fights in history never happened. We've seen it before. Silva versus GSP, Jones versus Ngannou, matchups that fans begged for but never got. And until John and Tom step inside the octagon together, this one risks becoming just another name on that list of what could have been. Now, is John actually scared? That depends on who you ask, but here's what we do know. He says he needs 6 months to prepare. There's talk about waiting for the money fight. Meanwhile, Tom's out here calling it what it looks like, stalling. And when enough time passes, people start asking questions. Not just fans, fighters, experts, even legends. Suddenly, it's not just about skill anymore. It's about who's really willing to show up. So what do you think? Is John just being smart with his timing, or is he playing it safe? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear it all.